Hey everybody, my name is Alyse Mader. I am a holistic practitioner that utilizes regenerative detoxification and rapid transformational therapy, among other nervous system regulation techniques. And I wanted to come on today and talk a bit about our nervous system and how it's tied to all of our senses. And right now, my senses can hear plenty of lawnmowers, and you might too. You might also hear puppy feet tapping along, and I continuously said, I want to make more videos. And there was always some noise stopping me, so today, it's not stopping me. It's just gonna happen. But I wanted to share an experience that I had on this past Thursday and Friday. I went to a festival. It was my first ever festival, and it was a camping festival. And talk about sensory things happening. There was so much going on, so much stimulation. It was so much fun. And I always say that I feel like I have two sides to me. I have this big, boisterous, performing side to me. I'm a singer and I love being on stage. But then I also have this very zen, regulated, calm, relaxed side to me as well. It sort of married those two this weekend together, and it was just really neat to see. But it just showed me after coming home how incredibly intelligent our bodies are. And I mean, I've always known this. I've always known that our bodies and our brains are fully connected. You know, it's that mind-body connection. But just how much our nervous systems pick up information through our senses on a regular basis. We're usually on autopilot and we don't notice these things. So coming home from such an overstimulating event to, being back in my normal routine and in my home, my body was buzzing, literally buzzing. And it felt quite heavy for a day and just very slowed down. And it's amazing how human beings get into their patterns and what familiar things to them become normal. And then going out into a brand new setting where I was camping, what new stimuli is picked up from the nervous system? So I want to tie this back to our senses and what we are picking up in our environment at any given moment with our eyes, with our nose, with our ears, with our taste, with our touch. And what and how our body processes that information and how, like I said, highly intelligent our nervous systems are. And when it comes to anxiety, and I also want to tie this back to anxiety and just that feeling of overwhelm, because sometimes when people go into situations like that, they really struggle with the overstimulation, and it just feels so overwhelming to them because there's so much sensory processing going on at once. And that's why, our brains can't multitask. That's why sitting at a computer all day with a bajillion tabs open, you feel so tapped out. But that's maybe that's another video. But when it comes to anxiety, when people do struggle with anxiety, they have a tendency to want to avoid situations like that because they don't feel like they can process all of the stimulation going on at once. And I completely understand. There is so much being taken in by your eyes, your nose. If you're eating a bunch of stuff at the festival, you're tasting it, and you're hearing all of the music and hearing all of the people talking around you. And that's a lot for the nervous system to process all at one time. Our brains do not actually have the ability to multitask. Our brains need to do one thing at a time. And if we feel like we're multitasking, it's only our brains rapid firing, just back and forth. Those synapses are just da 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 da. And so the reason that I love nervous system regulation techniques, especially hypnotherapy, is because we can calm the mind and give the nervous system the ability to reset. And when we have that calm and that reset happening, we then have the ability to go in and instill all of those positive affirmations that we really desire for ourselves. So if being in a crowded place or at a party or just at a family gathering and trying to socialize, or even if you just struggle with one-to-one conversation, sometimes it gets that overstimulating for people with anxiety and depression, and because your nervous system is in a consistent state of fight or flight or freeze. I mean, there's so many F's when it comes to fight, flight, freeze. There's also fawn or friend. And you're trying to be friends with everybody for fear of rejection, but that's also a whole other video. Maybe I'll make a video on all of the F's. But if going out to events like this or just trying to be more social is something that you really desire for yourself, but you feel like the anxiety and the depression and just those overwhelming feelings are holding you back from doing that, then these nervous system regulation techniques get you into a state of realizing that in those types of situations, your body is not in a threatening place. Like, you don't need to run from anything. There are times, again, with that anxiety and that depression where people just feel like even in those situations, their nervous system, from taking in everything through their senses, your senses are bringing everything in, and your nervous system is responding in a way that makes your physiology believe that there's a threat, when in fact, this is something that's actually really exciting. So your physiology doesn't know the difference between what is scary and what is exciting, but your brain does, right? We have the ability in our minds to say, this is something happy and exciting and joyful, but your nervous system responds in a way that says it's fear, and then your brain starts to question whether or not that this is a safe place to be, that this is somewhere where you want to be. So when you desire to go into those places, one trick that I like to do before going somewhere that is potentially making you nervous, right? Like a new situation or a meeting or an audition or, even when you're trying to help your toddler process something, it literally takes not even 30 seconds, but just closing your eyes and visualizing how it is you want this situation to go. So, I've been talking about a festival this whole time. And for that could potentially be something really overwhelming for people. And for me, I can personally attest that I was overwhelmed by the smells. There was a lot of smoke and smoking and campfire and, many different smells that my body felt so overwhelmed by. And at one point, I actually even considered leaving early and earlier than we had. But I closed my eyes and I actually envisioned my body processing all of the smells and the chemicals that were coming into my system. And I envisioned my body system cleaning everything out through my eliminative organs. So for me, that visualization calmed down my nervous system enough where the burning sensation that I was getting in my nose and the tightening feeling that I was getting in my chest stopped. And so prior to going into a situation like that, you can have the same type of visualization, if smells are overwhelming to you or sounds are overwhelming to you. Just closing your eyes, imagining that those stimuli are there and your body just processing them like a champ, and you are able to then find the joy within that event and that situation. And this is something that takes consistent practice, but this is also why I love hypnotherapy, because instead of, trying to force ourselves to get into a relaxed state, we are able to go through a guided process of relaxation to get you to a state of being able to accept and actually believe those positive affirmations, because we can say to ourselves, I can do this all day long. And we don't really believe it when we start talking like that. I hope all of that information was useful to you and you're able to utilize that trick. And if you do, put it in the comments. I'll be excited to hear about it. And subscribe, hit the little bell to subscribe and give me a like if you enjoyed this and found it informative. And I am so grateful for you. I love you. And I hope you have a fabulous day.